Hey, chat. Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. It's Sunday night. We got a couple. It's not like these are breaking stories, but they happened like on Friday and over the weekend. So I just thought they were worth talking about. Giving you guys a heads up on what's going on election wise as we get ready for the week. Remember, election's Tuesday, and yeah, no matter who you're voting for. I mean, well, if you're voting for like Jill Stein, you're really going to be disappointed. Or if you're voting for RFK Jr., you're going to be disappointed as well because they're not going to win. So certainly you'll be upset, but in reality, for most of us out there, whether you're watching this or whatever, you're either going to be really happy, where you're going to be like, oh, this is great, or you're going to go, oh my god, it's the end of the world. Either way, that's it's kind of where we are. It's kind of where we are, and we'll see how that looks come Tuesday night. We'll be starting up around 9:00, so it should be. It should be between 9:00. By that point, we'll probably have a good idea what's rolling it because, a lot of states will be done by that point. So it should be very interesting. Adel says, yes, please don't waste your votes on those two people. Fair enough. But SB Seller says, acting like Kamala voters watch him. I think there's a couple out there. There's got to be some. So we'll see. DW3 says, you interrupted my sandwich vlog watching. Nicely done. Well, you're welcome. If you guys missed it, we did Members Only stream just now about, today was National Sandwich Day. So we had to talk about sandwiches because apparently that's all I know. And, why not tell you guys about what I know? So let's get started. And EDW Raptor says, I will cast my vote for Vermin Supreme 2024. I mean, you could do that. I don't know why you would, but you could. I'm not really sure. I don't know why. If you guys don't know who Vermin Supreme is, he famous for running for office. He's got like a boot on his head, like literally like a boot, like a big old rubber Wellington. So okay, so let's see where we are here. Okay. So we have a couple things here. Sorry, I was trying to figure out where the hell I was. So there were two big rulings. And the first one is out of Pennsylvania. And this one, it seems kind of dumb that this would get all the way to where it had to go. So in Pennsylvania, you have mail-in ballots, and you have all that, and you're supposed to do them a certain way. You fill out your ballot, you put it inside a privacy sleeve, and you put it in the envelope. I mean, like, there's directions for it. It's not that hard to do. People manage to fuck it up. So every county has a way of handling it in Pennsylvania. In some counties, if you mess it up, they send you a notification saying, hey, it didn't work. You're going to have to vote. Some places haven't told people that. They just don't count them. Now, and this is something I'm pretty sure you can do this in Ohio too. If you've casted a mail-in ballot, you can vote as well, and you can basically override that vote, which I think is fine. You should be allowed to override if you want to. But in Pennsylvania, apparently, people were trying to do that, and they were being told, nope, can't do it. So lawsuit proceeded through Pennsylvania, made its way all the way up and through Pennsylvania, all the way through the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And it's going to be a big deal because Pennsylvania is probably going to come down to the wire. It's probably going to be closer than in 2020. In 2020, Biden won it by 80,000 votes. I think it'll be a lot closer. It'll be a lot closer. Anyway, the Pennsylvania GOP and Republican side of it was challenging and saying you shouldn't be allowed, if you've already cast your ballot and it didn't work, you can't come in and vote in person with a provisional ballot. Which, if it didn't count, it didn't count. Like I think this one was a bit retarded. Because I don't even agree with that logic right there. It doesn't make much sense to me at this point. A Balm says you're old as fuck, dude. Yeah, I think so. I'm not that old yet, but I appreciate it. Adam Rice says I delivered mail in California and it sucked. They stop all mail that day for first class and standard and just flood the ballots. Oof. Uh, so anyway, what is the issue here? Well, it ended up going to Supreme Court, and yeah, each county has different rules. It's very weird. Yeah, and that's part of the issue here. Every county in Pennsylvania is different. Um, so Sola says, who filed the initial suit? Well, the initial suit was it was filed, and let me see here. Let me bring this up. The initial issue was that people tried to show up to vote after their ballot was told it wasn't good, and they were being denied. So that's the problem here. That's the problem here. Now, how many people could this be? Well, it could be like thousands and thousands of people. We don't really know. Now, unlike a lot of other places, you're just voting and then figuring out which one's good, which one's not, because when you vote provisionally, they have your name, you mail in, they have your name, and they can check to make sure you haven't done it. And then if you change your mind, they override that vote that was cast first with the second vote. I mean, that's not a hard thing to do. It's not a hard thing to figure out. I think that makes a ton of sense here. And who's trying to message me here? Hmm. Somebody's just making noise, and I thought I'd look for it. There's nothing there. Now, that said, though, in Pennsylvania, there has been signature verification and other access opportunities in Pennsylvania. And there was also issues about dating of the ballots. But this one, yeah, it's ultimately these came from two voters who submitted mail-in ballots, but they did the naked ballot. They didn't do it the right way, whether intentionally or stupidly. Doesn't really matter. So they showed up at their precincts during the primaries to cast provisional ballots, but learned those would not be counted. And they claim state law bars them from doing that. Well, the Supreme Court got involved and they put together a little opinion. And this is one of those ones we get, chat, where they release a very short, very quick ruling and they just slap it down and then they walk away. And hold on here. Why are you guys not showing up the way I want you to? I'm writing in Clyde T. Dog. Oh, don't do that, chat. Actually, Dimitri Bell says, I vote potentially legal for dog catcher and president. Well, if you put down my name, Sean Ryan, I am over 35 years of age, so I would qualify. Oh, hold on. What was the question? Abel says, what would it take to go to paper ballots? I mean, a lot of money. But I can't imagine all the money that Dominion's been paid over the years wouldn't have got us multiple elections worth of paper ballots and all the counting necessary for it. So, but remember, here's the thing, guys. Going back to this, the paper ballots thing doesn't fix the issue. I mean, how many times do we hear about, like, oh, we found ballots in the back of a car somewhere. Oh, somebody had a box of ballots in their trunk. Just doop 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 doop, and then they got ballots in their car. Like, they really never did. But the idea was some dumb fuck poll worker took a box of ballots and went like, "This goes in my car," and then they drove around going like all over the place. And like, oh, I forgot I had ballots in my car. We'd be going right back to that. So, if especially you younger guys, like we're not changing much if you do that. There are the old ways to fuck with the ballots. The old ways. So it doesn't change much for us. It doesn't change much for us. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Angela, that's 100%. That's 100% how that goes every time. I remember as a kid, like we found ballots like in some poll worker's car. How the fuck did they get there in the first? Like I know why, because it's all either way doing it's fake. But like when the poll worker gets go like, oh I get that I'll drive around with them in my car. No, it's just like Lyndon Johnson when he won his House seat. He won by the ballot box that shit out like 10,000 ballots out of it, and it could only hold like 100 at a time. So they're just, it's just bullshit when you see it, guys. You take away the new ways of cheating, there's old ways, elections were manipulated and fucked with for hundreds of years. It's not hard. It is not hard at all. So just pointing that out there. Yeah, now they find USB drives with lost ballots on them. Yep. Like I said, I'm not trying to make fun of whoever said the paper ballots thing. I'm just saying, like, if we get rid of this, like, it's not like they're not going to figure out ways to cheat. Either way, like, it's not hard. So the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania had sided with the voters, and so the Republican National Committee had appealed this. And the application for the stay was presented to Justice Alito because that's his circuit. By him referred to the court as denied. So he took it and then he referred it to the entire court. So that's what happened, and it got denied. Now this is those times where you get those rare things of, Alito along with Thomas and Gorsuch, joined respecting the denial for the application of a stay. Now, they're talking about the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and they said the court held that a provisional ballot must be counted if the voter previously submitted an invalid mail-in ballot within the time required by law. And that makes sense. That's not really that obnoxious of a rule. Like, I get it one way or another, you might not like the people voting, but that's a pretty basic one where I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that. That should fucking happen. So it's not really an issue there. They asked, although that said the Republicans were asking to stay the Supreme Court's judgment in order the sequestration of the ballots that may be affected by that interpretation. They point out that this is an interpretation is a matter of considerable importance. They said, but even if we agree with the applicant's federal constitutional argument, and their argument is here that the interpretation violates the Elections Clause and the Electors Clause of the Constitution of the United States. And they point out that even if it was, and they're saying these are questions upon which I express no view, remember, they have the issue preclusion. They can't comment on things that are in front of them. We cannot prevent the consequences they fear. The lower court's judgment concerns just 2 votes in the long-completed Pennsylvania primary. And that's the big issue here. It's 2 votes for the Pennsylvania primary. And they say staying this judgment would not pose any binding obligation on any of the Pennsylvania officials. And because the only state election officials who are parties in this case are the members of the Board of Elections in one small county, we cannot order other boards of elections to sequester affected ballots. So this is a bit of an issue of where you chose a you chose poorly, you filed it poorly, and this is what happens when you do that. So that is an issue there. That's why that's not working out that way. And they say, for these reasons, I agree with the order denying the application. Now, that was just 3 of the justices agreed that they signed on to something. But remember, the rest of them denied it also. So they can deny it for whatever reasons they want to, but they decided to actually put this in writing. So something to think about there. Neo Dark Matter saying, but is it validated the mailer was who they said they are? I think they have to. I totally think, I don't think that's been brought up there as an issue. Epic Fantasy says, denied? What do you mean by denied? I mean, denied. Denied. And then from there, there's another one A bigger issue that's come up in Iowa. Oh, hold on here, Jim. Got a text, but it's from somebody I actually care to hear from. Yes. All right. Well, that's good. I'll address that later. Oh, so Iowa is having. We covered this earlier in the week, or at the end of the week last week. The issue in Virginia where they are challenging specific voters when things aren't adding up about their citizenship status. Well, Iowa is having a similar thing, and a federal judge in Iowa said you could challenge voter registrations. And it's, I will say, you may not like this, and if you disagree with this, I understand. But I do think this judge made a valid point of saying, look, um, because what's happening here is the Iowa Department of Transportation is using a bit of an older list by county officials to figure out who can vote based on outdated information, which some of it might be true. That person may have been not eligible to vote before, but they are now. But what does it happen when that does become an issue? Well, right now it's affecting about 12% of the population, which that's a lot of fucking people, actually, really, at the end of the day. Yes, 12% of a whole, okay, but still 12% is a lot. That's a lot of people. Let's say it's a million. That's 120,000 people. 12% can be quite a bit. 12% can be quite a bit. Now, what happens from here? Well, these people are not like Virginia where they're found and removed. Unlike Virginia, they are found and they have the chance to come in when they vote, and they can prove and get their ballot cast. So it's less restricted than what Virginia's doing. And because of that, they had a judge, and they came in front of a judge out in Iowa, and it's a Biden judge. And Julie says, need to go look at Colorado. Yeah. So this is in front of a judge here out in Iowa. And they sent out a letter in October to the county commissioners in Iowa's 99 counties. That's a lot of counties. Stating that the Secretary of State reviewed the voter registration data and identified 2,100 registrants who might not be eligible to vote. The base for the analysis said these 2,100 registrants had at some point identified themselves to the Iowa Department of Transportation as being non-citizens. So that's all they have. But what happens at that point? So they're required under Iowa law by the Secretary of State to challenge the ballots of any person attached of registered voters who attempt to vote in the 2024 election. The letter stated that effective voters will place their ballot in a provisional ballot envelope for later further review, such that it can be cured and the vote validly counted. Now, this is a big issue here. You still get to vote. Voting in this method isn't really, there's other ways to do it, but it's a pretty standard way of voting. As I told you guys earlier this week on, I think it was Friday, I ended up having to vote. Was it Friday or Thursday? Thursday or Friday. I had to vote provisionally, and it sucked. It was a pain in the ass. Because for some reason, my address is all wonky in their system, but yet I got a mail-in ballot to my house. My driver's license is the same as it's been for years. And when you Google me online, the address is there. But the Board of Elections was like, hey, we have a different address for you. Okay, so they cast a provisional ballot, and they'll count it later. Now, they don't always count them. If somebody, it's within a certain percentage, they will count those right away, but they will usually wait till the very end if they need to count those votes. Jefferson Post says, I remember the theory that Edgar Allan Poe died of a bender after being paid in booze to go to multiple polling places during the election. Well, yeah, that was a really common thing. Vote buying, promising people some rock gut whiskey to vote for a candidate or another. That's why if you see laws out there saying you can't publish your ballot with the intent to persuade people, it's meant for vote buying campaigns. So when you see people putting their ballot up on Twitter, that's perfectly legal. That's not a breaking of the law. if they're doing it as part of like vote buying scams or they're trying to work things like that. And yeah, you can't do that. But yes, I've heard that story as well. He got paid to go around and just drunk to death because he voted everywhere. And guys who do that, they go from polling place to polling place, especially back in the day before IDs. You could do that all the time. Juror 13, it's good to see you, man. Saying if we tested random ballots, how many would come back positive for Coke? I mean, I think there's that study that almost all U.S. currency tests positive for money or Coke. Test positive for money. Yes, it tests positive for itself. Well, that was brilliant. Hold on here. Percentage of dollar bills that test for cocaine. Yeah, contaminated currency. Yeah, there's some common studies going back through like the 90s saying it's at least 3/4, like 3 out of 4 banknotes will have cocaine on them. And I think there was another study where and it was done I forget who did it, but they went and sampled a bunch of dollar bills all over the country, and it was like 90% positive for cocaine again. So it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. A lot of money gets used in drugs, so it's very common. We're on the streets and I'm a white dude for Kamala. That's right. That's right. Angela says, you just checked the other day. It was wild. Yeah, it was. I checked. We were on. You know what? I think it was Wednesday night. Was it a Wednesday night or Thursday night? I told you guys, I was like, I was checking. I'm like, yep, I'm good to go. And they said, hey, we have a different address for you, like a mile or 2-3 miles away. And I'm like, yeah, never lived there. It was weird. Sweet Bovine said, I heard there are more illegal aliens voting there in Ohio and they don't need to present IDs to vote. So that means they can vote as many times as they want in other counties, right? I haven't heard that happening. I mean, in my county, I had to show ID. Most counties you have to show ID here in Ohio. Will Call says, so did you mail it in? No, I tore it up and threw it away. I'm never going to mail in if I don't have to. That's just indulging the system and making it more likely they do this. Like, I don't ever want to recognize the legitimacy of mass mail-in ballots. No other fucking civilized countries do it because they realize how fucking bad it is. So, Sneed Enthusiast says, is not American. What should I expect for Tuesday? Oh, so you've got two halves of America. America's one whole split right now. Here's what's going to happen. This side is either going to be really happy. It's going to be really happy, or they're going to be really sad. This side over here is either going to be really happy, or it's going to be really sad. Now, only one of them gets to be sad, and one of them gets to be happy. I don't know who. So that's what's going to happen. There is going to be sneeding of massive levels. If Trump, at the emperor of mankind, I didn't do that right, the emperor of mankind reascends to the golden throne, there will be maulding. There will be maulding. There will be coping. There will be sneeding. There will be seething everywhere. There will be salt mining. Assuredly. If Kamala Harris wins, there will be lots of coping and lots of sneeding and just as much seething and probably just as much salt being generated. So, I mean, those are your two which way you want to go, you could pick. But I just wanted to give that to you as an option. Elon's going to be busting in people to vote. Maybe. Don't want him doing that. Look a little tired. Yeah, a little bit. It's been a long day. Minnesota has a higher Coke/ballot ratio. SB Sellers is saying, wait, so Nick could have ingested money? Yes, Nick could have been snorting up dollar bills. Oh, Sleepy Sean Sleepy, just a little bit. J-Rock says, Kay and I have solved the vote problems. Only us male citizen landowners can vote. Okay. I mean, yeah, not really liking that one. Manny says, I recall Brankus said I was a Kamala voter. Where the fuck did he say that? Because I don't think that ever happened. Dead people vote in New York. They vote in a lot of places. I like coping and singing. Yes. Half the country is going to lose their mind. Half the country is going to laugh. It's we don't really know. We don't know. Come on Tuesday. Yes. Come all over Tuesday. 100%. Yes, the salt will flow. We just don't know which from which direction. So just be prepared for the salt to flow everywhere, and then you'll be anticipatory. So just be ready. Just be ready, chat. You want to see 2016 tears? I'll just settle for coping and sneezing. The tears, I'll settle for any of it. Oh. Mo says the Dems. It's not true. Oh. What's my favorite senator? Permani Brothers. I've never really had it. Actually, hold on. Wait. I don't think I've ever eaten there before. I know they had them up in West Virginia when I was practicing out Wheeling, but no, never had them before. Never had them before. So. Okay. That's weird, but all right, fine, whatever. That's a weird email. GB says most Trump letters won't lose their minds. That's the left's MO. Buddy, are you sure about that? I mean, there's going to be coping and sneezing. I'm going to be cope. If Trump doesn't win, I'll be the first to admit I'll be coping like a motherfucker. They'll be coping and sneezing, and my brain won't believe what it's seeing. I mean, just be real to yourself. There will be coping and sneezing, and you might be part of it. Oh. What's next on the docket? Well, we got to get to this Iowa thing here. We're going to take a look at this. That same says, nope, I'm going to lose my mind. I will not be coping. Well, just, yeah. So anyways, let's get to this case, Gary, because it is interesting out here in Iowa. So the plaintiffs consist of 4 naturalized citizens whose names were on the list despite being eligible to vote, as well as a Latino rights organization. So they asked the court to enter a temporary restraining order and injunction because it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And they wanted to put back all 2,100 people and retract the communications it sent out to challenge the voters. Well, the court points out here, and this is something interesting. This is a federal judge, and he's actually doing federal judge work, not just going, orange man bad or orange man good. He's actually making a balanced thing here. He says, first, the Supreme Court's recently stayed injunction about the removal of 1,600 voters from the rolls in Virginia. We talked about that. The court's allowing it to happen. People are getting challenged and everything there. So, and they point out, as the case in Iowa is, you're not being removed. And you can be able to cast a provisional ballot. And here's the thing. If in Beals in Virginia, if you can just fucking remove people, then just forcing them to do a provisional ballot is well within, if you've got two, if the boundary line, the farthest extent is, I can just remove people from the voting rolls, and instead, another state wants to, well, I'm just going to make a vote, you're still well within inside the boundary lines at that point. And that's the most drastic option. So that's how some of these cases pop back up. And then this one here, they also cite, and this one came out, it came out today, actually. So this one cites the Supreme Court case about Pennsylvania, and they point out the court refused to review the Supreme Court decision of Pennsylvania. And they say both of these, the court acts with great caution before awarding last minute injunctions. They're just pointing out, like, you've got to be very fucking careful. Now they're saying that they have to, and the problem is here. Oh, hold on, who's messaging me? Who is messaging me, chat? All right, guys. Yes, Christian endorsed Kamala. That's not a surprise. So they have concerns about whether the letter is consistent with Iowa law. There are things about this that have changed. So they point out that in the meantime, the Secretary of State backed away from a lot of positions that are covered by the protection order, the restraining order. For example, they're not challenging the eligibility of people who have submitted sworn statements regarding their citizenship status, especially the people that have sued the direct four. This implicitly recognizes that the filing of provisional ballot is not necessarily appropriate if a voter provides sufficient information to alleviate the uncertainty about their status, which is true. If you can show that you're a U.S. citizen, then you're good to go. So once again, they're not completely helping. They're just pointing out there are a bunch of things here that need to get sorted out. They also point out that the attorney for the Secretary of State indicated, and it's consistent with the court's interpretation of Iowa law, and they're saying the federal courts, the local election officials are not per se required to challenge the votes of any person on the list. And they may exercise their own judgment independently based on information available to an official. And that's true. Most election officials do have the right to challenge somebody who's voting. And if they think you're not supposed to be voting, they can stop you and they can actually pass they can ask you to do a provisional ballot most of the time. Now, it's not like they can make you do a reading test because that would be just really, really bad. So now they get through all this factual background, Iowa's legal laws, but the biggest thing here is, what does the legal analysis do here? Oh, why did that? Google, you need to fix your PDF thing. It's annoying. Now they point out once again, and this is the legal analysis here, courts must be very careful before they impose relief to mess with an election. So it's very, very critical. It's very critical for them to be very careful about what they're going to do. And this judge is trying to be very careful. And I have something that they always abide to point. Yeah, but he's trying to do it the right way. He's trying to do it the right way, which is very important. But they point out nobody's still been removed from the voter rolls, but rather simply they're requiring the voters on the list to vote via provisional ballots. And your ballot still can still get counted. So it's not like they're losing the right to vote. So, but they point out that even in the Virginia case, the fact Supreme Court stayed the injunction makes it difficult for the court here, because they say this court would be regarding how the Supreme Court handled the situation in which the plaintiffs had an even stronger legal argument than the plaintiffs have here. And they put out this the court cannot do. Now, this is something I think is a bit of an issue here. The secretary's sending it right before the election. Like, well, why the fuck weren't you looking ahead of time? You have all year. And you keep looking and checking. So, now, They point out that under Iowa law, he waited until 2 weeks before the election. And they do that but yet in Iowa, you have to contemplate a review of voter eligibility will occur in the first quarter of each calendar year. So that's when you should have done it. The first 3 months of the year, you check everything out. January, February, March. Check it all out, figure out what's good, what's not good, and fix it. If you need to contact these people, fix them. If you need them to prove their citizenship, you can contact them. But to do it 2 weeks before, yeah, it's going to ring very disingenuous. And I think that's no problem for the Supreme Court to say that one. Like, yeah, that's not impressive. But once again, they point out again, nobody's being removed. I'm just requiring the use of provisional ballots. They also point out it would be not appropriate to interpret law as requiring the Secretary of State or Secretary of State, or any other election official to remain completely quiet on election issues in the lead up, even if he becomes aware of information regarding voter eligibility issues. And yes, I would hope the secretaries of state and the people in charge of elections would go, if there's a big problem, they go, wait, we can't do it like this. You got to do it like that. Or whatever it is, they should be allowed to raise an alarm. Now, the court does end up saying it has concerns with the letter the guy sent out. Now, well, ultimately, is this what? Well, they want local election officials to challenge people of an entire swath of registered voters. And they point out that local officials are directed to lodge a challenge to voter eligibility based on citizenship, even if the officials have personal knowledge the voters are U.S. citizens. So there is some concern about that. Now, this places the local officials in a bit of an issue. On one hand, they face criminal sanctions for failing to follow the guidance, meaning challenge everybody you find. And election misconduct is including failing to follow or implement guidance issued pursuant to 47.1. So that's interesting that, failing to follow what you've been trained on or told to do is a big deal there. It's good to know. I wonder how many times anybody's ever been challenged on that law. Probably not that much. So, will it be a Cope and Seed stream? Yes, it will be. So, we got a bunch of comments here we got to get to. Chirok says Polish Bish landowners vote. Maybe I'll make that the vote thing there. Nick Kreuzer is a new member. Jefferson Post says, I live in Massachusetts. I have a prescription for copium. Yeah, well, I'm hoping the rest of us don't need it on Tuesday night. And then Nick Kreuzer, the amateur iconoclast, and Adam Watson. That's a nice German Shepherd. Oh, you guys, you want to hear chat? You want to hear Clyde? Listen. That's Clyde. That's a... He's a cute little howl when he barks. Hold on, chat. What is going on outside? Nothing. Somebody slammed the car door. But anyways, Adam, the iconoclast, and Nick Kreuzer gifted 5 subs. Now, thank you guys for all your support with that and being generous to everybody here. Clyde is Clyding. Yes, he is. But this is kind of one of those issues where the Secretary of State's telling these, these people out in Yeehaville, Iowa, well, you could be charged for not following my directions. Yet they even know, they know the person's eligible to vote, but you must not let them. It's like, well, you also face criminal sanctions by hindering the goal of allowing all eligible citizens to vote. Which that becomes an issue of what are you forcing people to do? How are you forcing people to do it? How is that going to work? And I think that's a fair argument. I think it's a fair argument that whether you could do this anyway, I don't think it would work. Now, if you could verify and challenge people, go for it, challenge them. But yeah, I just putting these people in this position, it seems just doesn't work here. Stabby said, "Dang, no notification." Well, that's all right. That's all right. Oh, so this conflict is more than abstract because some county commissioners affirmatively reached out to confirm the citizenship status of individuals in their counties who were identified on the list. So government officials using government resources to verify. It's like, wow, they ain't screwing around, chat. And they said, for example, in Ling County, a postal or well, a polling worker of some sort worked with county and federal law enforcement sources to confirm that 15 people on the list who had voted early in Ling County or requested a mail-in ballot were indeed U.S. citizens. And that's kind of part of the issue here. I don't mind. I don't mind. Like, so this guy's working with the cops. And if it turns out these people are illegal, is he going to hand over their information and the cops go find them? Like, I don't like that part of this. I don't like that part of this. That's a bit much where you're like, actively seeking out and soliciting law enforcement to help you verify the identities of potential voters. That's a bit much to me. That's a bridge too far. I mean, ah, there ain't no way I'd want to do that. There ain't no way I want to do that. Oh, you guys seem so thrilled about what I'm talking about. So, now, yes, this is actually a very important thing here. 80 says yes. It sounds like in these counties now we're down to like handfuls of people who are being challenged. And a lot of that's just the challenge. They haven't come to the polling place to challenge it yet, but it sounds like that'll be happening soon. So, um now when I talk about this guy who worked with the police here, Um, the letter directed him to inform election officials that they are required under law to challenge the ballots of any person in the attach of listed registered voters who attempt to vote. In the context of those 15 votes, Pate's letter arguably arguably blah. The letter arguably directs Miller to vote to violate Iowa law, not follow it. Well, that's an issue when you just slap a bunch of people in somewhere and ship them around. I mean, this guy's making it sound like these people were locked in like a trailer and were dying or something. It's like a little weird way to focus things there. Now they keep going here, and they point out all the issues here about the court, about what could happen, what couldn't happen, and ultimately these votes will allow to be not counted, and Iowa's allowed to keep going forward, but they're going to have to make sure they know what they're doing. And part of that is there's going to be like an immediate there's immediate testing, immediate verification, because otherwise you show up the day of, immediate challenging. Well, people don't have the right then at that point to watch or to vote if you're going to take it away from them like that. So, yeah, it's kind of where we are, guys. It's kind of the big updates of everything that's really going on here. And why is this not working there? Alec News says, if a party develops a list of registered voters they believe they are non-citizens, why not challenge? Um, Wait, hold on. If a party develops a list of registered voters who they believe are non-citizens, why not challenge it? Oh, why wouldn't they challenge it? I mean, it seems like a weird question, but I'm not sure. It's not making sense to me. So, um, oh, Hunch, you're saying I haven't fixed my Cash App yet. Well, let me check. I thought I did. Let me bring it up. Let me check. Come on. Where the heck is it? Well, there we go. There's Cash App. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I don't see anything, Hunch. Hold on. Hold on here. Oh, yes, I got it. I got it. Yep, I got it now. It confirms. I will get that out to you. Coke Fairy is saying, is it up to a party to decide who can or can't vote? I mean, you're not going to, like, that's really where the challenging is going to come from at the end of the day. When you've got your board of elections, some of them might not be politically involved, but their political, like, party might get them to get involved and challenge people. But that's where it really happens from. So that's kind of, does that make sense, Coke Fairy? It's gonna be at the political level, but the way it works in America is well, here I'll just bring up um, this is a map of all the counties in Iowa, and we're gonna use this. All right, this will help, I think some. Okay, so this is a map of all the counties in Iowa, all of them. You know, when you might ask me, is it everyone? I mean, if you can ask that, sure, but yes, it's everyone. It's all of them. It's all 99 counties. And actually, I'll move all the way over here. So let's use this one right here. Right there. We see Floyd County right in the middle. We'll circle him, Floyd. Right here. So with Floyd County, they're going to have a board of elections. Now, typically, board of elections are, because of the parties that basically are in charge, it'll be balanced between Republicans and Democrats, and you'll have kind of like the head of the board who's in charge and breaking ties and whatnot. That could be an elected official, and that's maybe somebody who runs. And yeah, that's going to be a partisan job. So yes, it's generally the government through like partisan county parties and partisan governmental position holders who will challenge people on their voter eligibility and voting status. I mean, every once in a while you'll see this. Like there was a county near me where there was this big hoopla over the fact that the person who ran to be prosecutor claimed that they had lived in the county, but when you go check where their address is, it's like a vacant apartment that somebody like, and there's a cat that lives there that somebody's been taking care of and checking on, but that's it. So yes, counties, political parties will be the ones generally challenging it, because otherwise, if nobody challenges it, things just go along, no problem. So yes, it's mainly a county challenge, or I'm sorry, a party challenge. That makes sense. Yes, they have George Floyd County. Yes, and there's a Boone County. Lewis Johnson says so many squares. Yeah, but that's because of the public land surveying system. And if you guys remember as kids, if you ever learned how you do things in America, most of America, outside of the 13 colonies, it's a land surveying system, and it's done by section, township, range. That's why when you look at maps of counties and like states outside of the 13 colonies, even for example, let me bring up Ohio here. No, that's not a good one. Where's a good one here? Yeah, here we go. All right. So this is an example of all the counties in Ohio. If you notice, they all have, for the most part, decent, like there's a couple spots like here, this is a river. And then here, down along here, this is the Ohio River. So this is the state border right here. But for the most part, what do you notice about these counties? They're all straight lines. Whereas if you look at like Pennsylvania, this is going to be, you're going to get a lot of goofy shit in Pennsylvania. So this is Pennsylvania, chat, if you've never seen it. Here's Pennsylvania's county map. There's a lot of counties that are straight line, but this is also a state border with New York. But like, look at all these down here. Look at all this. Look at all this. Like, it's like they're melting. Like, look at all that. Look at all that. It's like melting. Well, what's some of the issue here? Well, people have been settling in Pennsylvania since 1600s. So people had like royal grants and royal warrants. It all depends on where you live, and but for the most part, most counties or most states in America, if they're not part of the 13 original colonies, will have a very, very interesting county breakdown on how they draw their counties, how their counties are done. For example, like this is Virginia, one of the oldest. Look how fucking weird Virginia is. Each one of these lines is a county. Look at all this. Look at all these places that are counties. Okay, this part's on the Panhandle or the Chesapeake Peninsula, the Delmarva Peninsula. Don't worry about that part. So don't worry about those guys. But just look at the rest of this. Look at all these counties and all the goofy lines. Some of that's dictated by the Chesapeake Bay, but just look at all of this. These are geographical and terrain featured counties, and they didn't do the surveying, so there's a difference, and that's very important. So that's why a lot of straight lines. There is a reason for that. It's called the Public Land Surveying System, the PLSS. It's been around for a long, long time. And in fact, land surveying is something that's been done. Was a very grueling job because these guys would have to travel across America. George Washington was a land surveyor. Just making sure it all works. H&HX's house tied back to Nick. It doesn't. Iconoclast says I got 99 counties, but a bitch ain't one of them. Well, yeah, there's 99 counties in Iowa. There's 88 in Ohio. So, James says left to right perfectly stackished. Someone came up with OCD for those districts. No, like I said, it's just when you're surveying land, it makes sense to survey in straight lines. It's easier than going like like that is a pain in the ass. Go talk to an engineer, like a civil engineer, who has to go out or like any licensed engineer who goes out and does land surveying. If you ever read a deed, it'll say like marked with your initials and then your engineer license number. Like they get paid good money doing it because it fucking sucks. Especially if you're in an old area before land surveying was uniformly done, and you've got to track buried pins all over the place. So, Allegan says, say a party takes the voter rolls and they use E-Verify to check the voter rolls to develop a challenge list. How would they get a hold of the E-Verify stuff? Because that's through the federal government. I don't think you have access to that, but it's a good question. Chinny says one doesn't have a name. I think they just forgot to label it. Sula says that amount of orders nauseating. Well, I mean, that's how it works out. That's how it works in most states. I mean, heck, if you think that's bad, here is. You guys are so damn funny. I think this stuff is so cool. It's not even funny and weird. It's just really neat. Like when you go out west, it's not like it's even worse if that's your problem. Like it's gonna make you like panic. Wait till you see like maps of out west. This is Nebraska. Like, have you ever seen Nebraska? Nebraska doesn't look much better. Here's Nebraska. Look at all those lines. Like, I do think Nebraska's weird because they got this like one big old freaking county right there. But look at the rest of Nebraska, like straight lines, just like straight across the map. It's very funny, and straight up and down, straight up and like just lines just going, and then lines going all over the place. EDW rep says, what about parishes? And no, we're not doing parishes. Remember, Louisiana got screwed over by the French. Is there a circular county? Not that I'm aware of. Yes, people who aren't actually running shouldn't remain on the ballot. Well, that too. Yes, there is a Licking County, Ohio. Yes. No, this has nothing to do with Tom and gerrymandering. No. Cantor says that's a very colonial map. Yes. You guys like the more aesthetic? I'm sorry. Well, you guys all saw Licking County. Well, do Louisiana next. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. You live in Spotsylvania County. Cool. There's so much history in those areas. So, Bio1 says there's counties and counties. What the fuck? That's because I guess under Virginia law, under their state law, cities can become like independent entities. So the cities can become its own self-sufficient thing. I think especially up in the north where you have like all those counties in Northern Virginia are fully urbanized and suburbanized. So the cities will break off and become their own little things. Yes, they have their own entity of free counties. Yes. Yes, the Eastern Shore. Yes, of the Chesapeake Bay. Yes, cow pie versus the Land Surveying Acts. Yes. This would become a CGP grade. Yeah, except I can't stand them. So, Darcy's. I just got to notice that several counties in California Tuesday will have their power shut off because of the wind. Whew, that's kind of rough. How does that going to work? Let's see. Yes, meets and bounds. Yes. Go back far enough and meets and bounds. It's not done in feet and inches, but it's done in things like perches and poles and rods and chains. Those were terms of measurement. I'm a map nerd. I have my office art. Hold on here. So I think this is a pretty baller map I've had in my office before. I have this actually in my well, it's part of my office art. I have this, and I have this all framed up. A copy of this. This is a map of Ohio in all the different land surveys that were done of the state of Ohio. So, like this one down here is the Ohio Land Company. This was the people given permission by the King of England in the early 1700s to sell land in Ohio. So they sold in this area. And then you see things here like Congress land. So Congress authorized surveying of that land. You know, the Congress land's a different act of Congress. Survey this. More Congress lands. Then this place down here called Symes Purchase. That was land that this guy had all this land and they bought it from him. And then you have the Virginia military land. All these counties right here, all this area, this was all promised to veterans of the Revolutionary War. It was part of the Virginia military land. This was more of it. It was called the the United States Military Reserve. So throughout history, when the U.S. military needed troops, Congress didn't have money. So what did they do? They said, if you sign up and enlist in the army and you survive your enlistment, you'll get land. You'll get 40 acres. You'll get a quarter of a section. So people did it. That's how Congress raised armies throughout the 1800s, was through land. And then when you go up to here at the tops of things, you see, you know, each one of these little colored line things right here. So, you know, if you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for a while, these 7 things right here, that line right here, 7, goes all the way down. For a long time, this piece of land was the first truly surveyed piece of land in the state of Ohio pursuant to an act of Congress. And it's called the Great Seven Ranges Survey. And you could track this land all the way back. And these ones you can't really track too far back because this may have been in the late 1800s. But you can also see where the reservations for various Indian tribes were. The Wyandot, the Seneca. Then you see the Greenville Treaty Line right here, where we promised the Indians we wouldn't go past it, and then we just were like, fuck you. So it's interesting. There's also different things here, like this little bit of land right here. So there are multiple people who were promised land that kind of got scammed by different groups and land salesmen. And the U.S. government's like, well, shit, I guess we'll try to help you. So they gave people really shitty pieces of land as compensation, but it did happen. So, yeah, anyways, it's pretty neat stuff. This stuff is pretty neat when you look at it. Yes, the entire country is broken down to 640 acre squares, except in some spots where there still is Spanish land designations for it, or in the colonies, or in Louisiana. So, what the hell did I just run over? Oh, I hit the stuff from earlier. But yes, in North Carolina, well, hold on, we got some super chats to get to. Oh, EDW Raptor gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. Bebop and Rocksteady, 2 of the best cartoon bad guys ever, says, I know several legal Pedros that paid $10,000 and waited 7 years. They want all the illegal Pedros to be sent back. Yep. It's a very common thing. John Coleman saying, Foop is out for Fred. Dad's out for Peanut. And then Bebop and Rocksteady also say, again, the wands we grew up with no longer exist. If illegal, they wouldn't dare touch a ballot out of fear. New illegals are not the same, unfortunately, for us. Yeah, well, when the country was very observant and they thought ICE would round you up and send you back, yeah, it tends to scare people. And Corn Pop for $1.99, thank you. I love the Chief Wahoo. Hunch Dirty Roof says one of the biggest issues they're going to have in North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee as they rebuild is that floods washed away so many surveyor pins. It's not even that. It's that the geography has been transformed. Mountainsides have been washed away and re-leveled. Rivers have been rerouted. So it's not even that. It's just everything's gone. Roads are gone. Roads won't be able to. They're going to have to reroute entire highways. So yeah, it's going to be a big problem. And then cerebral parasite became a new member. Thank you. And get to 20 sobs. Thank you very much. Let's go, chat. Oh, it's Sunday night. Let's go. And Brooks saying, quick question to poke your mind with. Can we get a mostly course of action, most dangerous, and the most absurd that both parties could do? I mean, there's a lot of things people could do that are very dangerous and wouldn't take much, and it would be very Fed posty for me to mention them. So, yeah, and Jefferson posting on Cape Cod, whole villages used to be one dude's. Yep, that's not uncommon either. One dude's land or estate is a whole village now. Patty F says states should just clear the voter rolls and start fresh. Seems simpler. I don't disagree with you. That makes a lot of sense. Kimba says, how's your tummy? I'm fine. Like I said, took bites out of everything. Wasn't like I ate them all. They're all still here. Cookberry says, you want to look land disputes and surveying, check out England. That's probably where you get your all your oddness from. Hey, you know, like I said, surveying land, it keeps people from wanting to kill each other. So, Tex South guy says in Virginia, cities over certain size had to become their own county. Interesting. Didn't know that. Did not know that. Cantor says, so how do you get a criminal from Colorado to Ohio? Is it a joke? No, you can extradite. I mean, as long as they're like, is it a felony? Does Ohio want the guy? It's kind of the part of the issue. If it's just for some misdemeanor shit, nothing you can do about it. But if it's a felony, that guy will be held and they'll Ohio, like, till they figure out if Ohio wants to extradite him. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot that'll happen. So don't worry, Sean rolls his map. He never folds them. Yes, I worked in oil fields. I better like maps. So it's a lot of fun. Sean was a cartographer in a past life. Maybe. There's some pretty cool maps out there. Timmy says even cocaine wouldn't make this interesting. I'm sorry, Tim. Oh. Let's see here. What year is that map? That map was written in. That map for Ohio was 1887. Roughly like the late 1880s time frame, but it meant to go back to 1750s and showing everything on there. How nerdy to have an 18th century map of your state. I think it looks cool. Oh, let's see here. What are we going on? Former land surveyor here. This is true. Yeah, it's not fun. It's a rough job. Fallen Preacher says, I wish I had gotten 40 acres instead of the GI Bill. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, Zach, you're right. I messed up. A section is 640 acres, and a quarter section is 160. So you get a quarter of a quarter. So it'd be like the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of section township range. That's my bad. Yes, now veterans get a little patch of sidewalk. That is sad though. Yeah. Yep. One man still owns 95% of Hawaii's main islands? Really? I don't know if that's true. Hmm. And yes, the name of some sort is correct. There are multiple people in the early 1800s that owned tens of thousands of acres in Ohio because they would go to soldiers and like, here, I'll buy your land for me for a little bit of money, and they would sell it off. Yeah. I ran over my crack pipe. Yeah. Oh. Mike says also seeing that the Indian reservations at the top became two separate counties. Yes. Clyde, I did not run over Clyde. I promise Clyde is still alive. Oh. Oh, Winning Reality, how you doing? Good to see you, man. There's actually a tract of land in Omaha that's Iowa because the river moved. That's not a surprise. That happens. Alga News says, what other countries have internal extradition? I don't think it's common in like a lot of places unless you have. It's an issue of federalism. You know, internal criminal matters are done by states. Unless it's a federal crime, the feds aren't going to get involved. So that's actually a very, very normal thing to happen. I mean, I would rather it be that way where the states handle their own extradition matters than having the feds get involved. EK man, so it's cooler. Maps or flags? Maps are neat, but flags are pretty cool if you know the stories behind them and why flags look the way they do. Obscure Destinations Outdoors says, I never missed one of those. How states got their shape on the History Channel. I don't think I've ever watched the show, but yeah, it's interesting why a lot. Yes, one family owned Catalina Island, I think, for a while, yeah. Yeah, Canner says, I reckon an acre in Ohio is worth 30K. No, nope, not that much. I mean, it depends what you're trying to do with it, but for the most part, no. It's not that much. In Britain, it's worth that now. Oh boy. It's not that much there. So where are you guys out here? That's a shame since I could spend hours on Google Maps. Stacy says, oh my, a flag nerd. I know I'm a big nerd, big history nerd. So guys, yeah, that's really it for right now. There are multiple voter challenges that are out there. There's a couple more lawsuits. I don't know if anything else is gonna. I'm not aware of any bigger things that are gonna hit the courts anytime soon. But I think they're interesting to learn. They're interesting to look at. For example, like I said, I think the Pennsylvania one, it's if their vote got denied because it wasn't properly done, they didn't follow the rule, like fucking let them revote. Like that's one where I'm like, why the fuck are we getting in the way of that one? Like why? Like, well, that's not fair they're doing. I'm like, I don't give a shit. It works. So we'll see. We'll see. The Iowa one was interesting because they let people still vote. They're just challenging them. Oh, Coke varies depending on the land, but not far off. Okay, geez, that would suck. 30K for an acre. Shit, that's a lot of money for the land. I mean, okay. I mean, like, hold on. What's the average cost of an acre of land? Average cost of an acre in America. The average cost of an acre of land in America is. Let's see here. The average cost of an acre of land in America is about $4,000 based on all the farmland out there, kind of watering it down. What's the average price of an acre of land in Britain? Oh, wow. Anywhere from it can residential land, it can cost up to, depending on parts of the country, anywhere from £300,000 to £1,000,000. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. Oh. So, Loomer's getting bodied tonight by Stone. Really, where? Oh. Yeah, huge tracts of land. He has 40 acres and a mule. Oh, it's Roger. Yeah, I was gonna say, is it Roger Stone? Where is this at? Because we might watch this real quick. Where is this happening? Because I'd love to watch Loomer getting bodied by Roger Stone right now, having some gay guy beat the shit out of her. Metaphorically speaking. I pay good money to watch Sean react to King Cobra. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, uh, the farms or Josh and the casino could do it. 49 acres and a mule will make every millionaire. Oh, back and forth on Twitter. Oh, let me see. What's this gonna be? How's it gonna be, chat? Oh, okay. This isn't even fun. They're arguing over campaign finance. Boring. I thought Roger Stone was gonna be like, they could chisel granite with your face or something. Yeah, Roger Stone loves Loomer. I figured they would, but they're on the same team. She's a Trump advisor, so I doubt he's too shitty towards her. Can't be that shitty towards her. Oh. Canner says, I don't know how Sean doesn't know this. What? What? 9 acres and a mule make every in Britain. What that I don't know that they're fighting or what? Florida Heat saying, why are there lawsuits? The election has not happened. Yes, but it's about how votes are being counted or handled in the meantime. People are suing over. Remember, because if you try to sue too late, well, now you have lashes and you have estoppel. So, we had that happen in 2020 where they're like, oh, it's too late. Well, that's why people are now getting out in front of it. I would think he would have family back in Ireland to tell him, well, thanks. Jeez. Oh, she's costing Trump votes. Yeah, maybe. Trust me, that's not gonna tilt the Lauren Loomer's not gonna read the reasons the scales get tilted if they get tilted. I think Trump pushed Loomer out of her stuff she's posting on Twitter. Probably. So, can illegals vote? They're not supposed to. Not supposed to. All right, chat. Well, it's almost 11. Got a big week this week, guys. Monday, Tuesday. Go vote. Like I said, obviously, you know how I feel about it. But if you're gonna vote and you're not gonna vote for the way I'm voting, go vote. Regardless, just go vote, participate. And once again, voting and jury duty are like the two ways you get to have a lot of direct say in how your government's operated. So go ahead, do it. It's amazing how much influence it has. Especially don't just vote for president and throw your shit away. Your stuff in your local areas. We talk about this all the time. When you see trials, you don't like judges, you don't like. Guess what? Prosecutors and judges, they have to be voted. So vote. Vote. Are you going to go on the casino that night? Yeah, I'm going to stop by a bunch of places. Like I said, I am going to start a show at 9 p.m. chat around that, and we'll see what's going on. But I'll make some rounds in the meantime. Once I get kind of confirmed everywhere, I'll probably be popping on with David at MLS. I will be stopping over with Sitch and Adam at some point. And yeah, the Worst Game PPP want me to stop by, so we'll probably actually I'm thinking about probably like 9:30, just as we get here. Vote Trump or else. Well, I mean, it'd be nice if y'all voted for Trump. 2.0, yes, sweetheart, you're right. Vote Clyde for president. I'll take that because I'll have to be his handler. So I'll be president then. I'll be like, what's that, Clyde? Hold on. I'll hold him like, what's that, buddy? Oh, he says we should nuke China. Stop at Kirsha if she's streaming Tuesday. I haven't heard from her, so I don't know if she is or not. If she does, invites me on, stop by. But remember, chat. I'll be on tomorrow night. But if I don't see you before the end of Tuesday, remember, one side's going to be molding, one side's going to be laughing. That's like guaranteed. Just don't doom. Like, it's not like America's pretty fucking strong. It will survive a lot of things. So don't panic. Now's not the time for fear. That comes later. There'll be a time to panic. It's just not right now. So don't doom. Don't doom. Yes, happy erections, America. Liz Johnson says, take care and good luck, Americans. Well, thank you. I'm making you panic. Well, yes. Don't panic, picnic. Yes. Buy guns legally. Or if you're going to do it illegally, don't tell anyone. Oh. I'll be staying up all night if they're actually going to call the race. Oh, I think after 2020, there's a lot of pressure on states to get it done. Get it done on election night. So, yeah. The answer is 42. All right, guys. Well, that is it. Good night to everybody here. Thank you, everybody over on Twitch and here on YouTube. Thank you if you guys were here earlier today for the members only stream for the Sandwich Conclave. And happy Sandwich Day. It is still out there for another hour. Sandwich Day in America. So take care, chat. And once again, I will see you guys tomorrow night. We'll probably try to do something on here before we go over to locals. And remember, guys, you can join us over on locals tomorrow night using the promo code POTCRIM. Yeah, 1 month free. Show starts around 8:30. And it should be a fun time. Remember, we can talk about all the stuff you can't talk about here because YouTube will get mad at us. But you can do whatever you want over there. So, good night, everybody. Take care, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes it was. He even knows he's
Virginia's not gonna go red. It ain't happening. As much as I want to think that's gonna happen, it ain't happening. New Hampshire, yes. New Hampshire probably will flip, but not Virginia.
all this fun and more. There's one place